Hello, good afternoon, class.
Good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon, madam.
Hey, you are less than 20. Why? Are people already exhausted? Kindly ask them to join the class, please. Where is the class rep? Class rep. Senior, are you there? Is the class rep online? Is the class rep online?
Madam, please no.
Okay. So let me quickly capture those who are here and I'll use that as an attendance. Okay, the ICD GCTU host, kindly make me a co-host. Okay, please. Or you've made me a co-host already so that I can do some settings. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, you are welcome to African Studies class. Don't get exhausted though. Don't get tired. I think we have 2 weeks to finish. So please tighten your belt. Those who have not joined the class, you are more than 100 and I can see barely 20 students here. What is happening? All right. So today we want to look at last week. We had last 2 weeks because last week were your off day. But we looked at festivals, African traditional festivals, and their benefits to the community or the African traditional people who celebrate the festival. Today, we want to look at leadership in Africa, and I think it's also one of the touching, topics that we need to discuss. Probably some are already, playing your roles as leaders or others are yet to be promoted or to occupy their offices, and they will by all means serve as leaders. But then when we talk about leaders, I think the attention is, focused on the governance, especially our government. But today we want to have a look at the broader view, not only about the political leaders, but then what we are going to discuss, we should be able to apply it to all other aspects, especially where we have people who are trying to, direct others, guide or influence others' behavior or influence others in a way to achieve a common goal. So if we are in a family setup, we have a father, we have let me say our parents. Then the father automatically is the leader. If the father is not there, then the mother takes the role as the leader. If the parents are not there, then the elderly sibling takes the role as a leader. And so sometimes it happens that if the parents are not around or they are not well to do to cater for the needs of the children, and it happens that the firstborn is able to, find something doing, then the responsibility, downs on that person to take care, though the parents are around. So the leadership role here, please let's try to, apply it to other aspects or other areas of our lives. But here today, we want to look at leadership in Africa. And the expectation is that at the end of our discussion, we should be able to explain the concept of leadership in Africa, discuss and differentiate between traditional and modern leadership, because that's what we are going to look at. Our focus will be on modern and traditional leadership. And then we will also look at the challenges facing these two major leaders, and then the factors that can contribute to poor and good leadership. So what are the factors contributing to bad leadership? And what are the factors that can still contribute to good leadership? Because that is what we all yearn for. Poor leadership affects all of us. And as it stands, yes, we know it affects us, especially those of us in Africa. So quickly, the introduction says that studies have shown that Africa has not, we've not been experiencing developmental projects, not only projects, but development as a whole on our continent as a result of what? Bad or poor leadership. Even with the richness of all that we have the mineral resources. We have, like, I don't know. Someone said, when you are talking about Africa and the fact that we are so much blessed, we have oil reserves, we have our cocoa, bauxite, we have, what don't we have? And yet we do not, develop. We are still counted as underdeveloped or developing country. Then it baffles people's mind. Why is it so? And we've realized that leadership, poor leadership, has contributed to the development crisis on the continent. And that is true. Yes, we have a vibrant, youth or our population. We have our youth there who are vibrant, who are energetic, who can help us to develop our country. But then the saying is that because of poor leadership, we are unable to achieve what we want to achieve. It has also been asserted that the trouble with Africa is simply and squarely a failure of leadership. Uh-huh. But come to think about it, we always queue, join long queues, and then we go voting or choosing our leaders. And not only that, even in our various corporate environments, we have our leaders there. We go to the religious sector, we have our leaders. And so if it is being asserted that leadership as a whole is a trouble, has been a trouble with Africa, this is very serious. It means we need to touch it from somewhere. All right. Okay, so the need to study traditional and modern leadership is as critical as any other topic that we want to discuss. And the time is now. Now because, well, you are mature students, but like I said, probably some of you already leading, and so the class will draw your attention to certain things that probably you've not, thought about it. And those who yearn to be leaders, and those who are leading in a small way, like a Sunday school teacher, or you are a youth leader, or you are a community leader, and you think, oh, your role, as for you, that kind of leadership, it means nothing. So you are just doing it anyhow. No, even if you're a class rep, whatever position or whatever you are doing, you are there as a leader. And how do you do it so that you are able to achieve your goals? Okay, so leadership defined simply, for Hesse said, it's an attempt to influence other people's behavior. And then AI and Co is saying that if you talk about leadership, I know the definition is if you ask AI right now, and I know some of you have already started asking AI, what is leadership? Or what is leadership in Africa? And for AI, because it will fish out information from different data, from different databases, sources, it will give you a lot. So kindly let me quickly stick to mine, okay, for now. So AI and contributors say that leadership is a pattern of behavior, meaning that leadership is a social process in which influence is exerted by an individual or a group over a larger body to direct its efforts towards the achievement of desired goals without the use of what? Violence. Okay, so the person uses that social process to, exert or influence other people to follow him to do what? To achieve a desired goal, because always there is a goal and those group of people will want to achieve that goal. But it takes someone who will lead them, who will direct them. Okay. The person has those qualities to influence them, not necessarily by using what? Violence, but then that person is able to influence the followers to achieve a desired goal. So that is how it is. I explains it here. I also says that it's a personal quality. Here it refers to the character traits, the personality, which enable the leader to exert influence over others without coercion. And we've seen some of such leaders in our country. That person has the personality, he has that character, okay, that trait that he uses. That trait, keke, people look at him and follow him. And because they are following him, he is able to direct them and achieve a goal without forcing them, without any violence, without any coercion. Okay. Then that definition says that political values, leadership is a political value and process, which refers to the guidance and inspiration, the capacity to mobilize others through moral authority or ideological insight through a democratic and good governance system. So that one we can look at it from political angle, okay, where people already they are able to inspire others. They are able to, that leader is able to guide others because they have their own ideology. They have their own moral authority that because this person believes in this, and that is how he says he is going to do things to achieve a goal. I also trust and believe, or I align with his ideologies. Therefore, let me be his follower. And so through that, they use democratic means to also what? Achieve their goals. We have so many definitions. Like I said, if you ask AI, which I know you've already done that, you will get more and more, definition. And sometimes it can be contextualized. The definition you are getting is probably talking about a corporate leader, only in that box, putting it in that box. Or the definition is only talking about a religious leader or a political leader or a bureaucratic leader and so on and so forth. That's why I said, let me stick to my simple definition. Now, good leadership. We are saying that bad leadership has not helped Africa to develop. What then is a good leader? So good leadership is ethical leadership. That word has appeared here again. Moral, values, ethics. Huh. Ethical leader that promotes values such as democracy, justice, accountability, respect for human rights, responsibility. Someone who is responsible, freedom of speech, allows people to speak their mind, but in a polite manner. Uh, Someone who has the vision of what developing the lives of the people as well as what their community. And so if people have such values, okay, personal altruism, like the person is selfless, you say that, oh, because this person is selfless, that's where people look at others and they vote for them or they choose them as leaders. Probably they haven't seen the work they have done so far, but looking at their demeanor, they can say that, oh, I want to follow this person, or I want to, help this person achieve his goal because because of his personality. He's selfless. And I know that most of the free voters, is that how we call them? Those who do not belong to any party, when it's time for them to take a decision to choose a leader.
Floating voters.
Sorry?
Floating voters.
Exactly, floating voters. As for them, they take their decision last minute, and there are certain things they look out for. Sometimes they will look at the person's personality. Funny enough, some people even look at how handsome the gentleman is. Others look at different, things. Others look at the values. Oh, the person is the way the person, speaks, the way the person conducts himself or herself. That's why I'm going to vote for him. Or I listen to the person, when he was speaking, and you can see that he's selfless. So I will vote for him. So these are the values, and these values they count, which most people don't take attention, pay attention to. They only want to see, oh, that person is vibrant. He's, giddy giddy. Oh, he can lead, and he knows how to. He has a command in, the English language, or he can speak very well. And But there are some ethical values, values, like I said, that we need to. Is the person ready to allow people speak their mind without fear or favor? Is the person ready to respect human rights? Is the person ready to be accountable to his or his followers, and so on and so forth? So if we are talking about ethical values, then a lot more, we can add more to this. Those are the things. I call it the inner beauty. But the inner beauty, someone will say, if it is inner, how do we see it outside? If we see it outside per their deeds. Well, you haven't tested the person, so you wouldn't know his deeds. But like I said, how the person's demeanor and the way the person conducts himself, the way the person handles other people, okay, treats people, can even tell you that, oh, this person, oh yeah, that's human, respect for human rights, respect for human being, treating people as human. You can read and you can, based on that, to choose your leader. So a leader should also possess three main virtues like ability to mobilize and inspire, who would be still and directionless. It's clear, right? You are able to mobilize people or you are able to inspire them. You are able to, because of what you have, what they have seen in you. They know that leader is not corrupt. They know that leader respects. They know that leader is ABC. He has the values. And so if such values are there, it makes it very easy for that leader to even mobilize and inspire others who will be still and directionless. Not today, we are crossing carpet. Why would people say, okay, I'm leaving that group, I'm going to another group? Probably because something went wrong. But if a leader has these virtues, where he is able to inspire others and they follow him, they quietly, they always understand him and they are with him, then he has that virtue. Ability to, a virtue is a virtue, something that you ought to, probably if you were born with it, or like you'll be nurtured because some leaders are born with it, others are born to be nurtured to become leaders. But if such people have these, virtues, it goes a long way to help. Ability to what? Promote unity and encourage members of a group to move in the same direction. And then ability to strengthen that group of people by establishing a hierarchy of responsibilities and rules. And so not because the leader wants followers, and so he is trying to, cause chaos here and there. He is able to promote unity. He is able to encourage members. So there's unity among the group. That leader is what? Leading. He is able to strengthen them, helping them. Okay, if they need to, not only development as we see in resources, but then you help to the people to also develop. There are some leaders, they don't, if they are there, their people will still be marching time. I know some of you are working, and where you are working, probably where you are working from, they don't even know that you are, pursuing your degree, because once they get to know or they hear that, this person is pursuing his degree, there will be trouble. But other places too, they are the ones who will encourage you, and sometimes they will even give their followers, such people who are interested, they will encourage them and as well, support them, giving them steady leave and the rest. So it takes a leader who has such virtues to be able to strengthen the members, encourage them, push them, give them the roles and responsibilities. That one too is where the leader doesn't one man show. Everything he is the one doing it, or she is the one handling it. No. If a leader has this virtue, it means he or she is able to also delegate others, helping them in a case where they have to be enrolled in an education system like some are doing, or attend seminars. They sponsor them to go for workshops, seminars, sometimes even outside the country. There are some leaders that call is not for him to go, but once he is going outside the country and he will get a per diem, instead of allowing the other members to, come on board. No. So here you see that if one is acting like that, then the person is not selfless. The person is what? Selfish, greedy. Uh-huh. And as we are talking, I know some of you, you are already pointing fingers at some people, probably at your workplace or I don't know, anyway, you are looking at it from other angle. And this person is like that. And that's my boss. He's talking about he's like that. Anyway, so let's look at leadership styles. Leadership styles include transformational, laissez-faire, and then transactional leadership. So very clear, the transformational leader is the one who helps others to develop. They help to build others. They bring change. Okay, so it's a leader who is a leader style which emphasizes not only strategic vision and strong ideological convictions of a leader, but also the personal resolution and political will to put them into practice. So sometimes you realize that if it is in an organization or political leader or religious leader, any other aspect, you realize that the leader wants to bring a transformation, but it's only on paper. On white paper. They have their strategic vision when they want people to, choose them as their leaders or they want that position. Then they will come up with their own strategic visions and ideologies and then to convince others. Yet at the end of the day, we are not able to see the outcome. There's no show on just on paper. But if you are talking about transformational leaders, these are people who have their visions outlined, they have their ideological convictions, and they don't just sit down, they make sure it comes to reality. They put all measures in place, resources, and so on and so forth, to ensure that there is change. And that change, that transformation affect the members and it affects, in fact, every sphere of their lives. So you walk to the place and you see if it's developmental projects, you see those projects there. And then even if it is about the people they are working with, you still see them because some of them came in with probably first degree, but they've been uplifted, they've been supported, and now they have their second degrees, or they came in not being skillful, but they've given them skills. So a transformational leader, I think, in Africa is what we need. And probably it is what we seem to lack. Since record is on records that poor leadership has contributed to the underdevelopment in our continent. Then we have another style of leadership, and here that person is reluctant. Mhm. A leadership champion, this champions a leader who is reluctant to interfere matters outside his or her personal responsibility. So if he knows that these A, B, C, D are my rules, that's all. He doesn't care. Doesn't think outside the box. Not being innovative. New ideas are coming. He's not ready to, you know, accept it. AI is the order of the day. What is AI? He's not ready. Like a Desika, anything goes. Ebegu emu. Though, yes, I'm the leader, and so what? So the person is only looking at he occupying that position and he doesn't care what happens. He joke with his responsibility. If you have such such a leader, and I think reading about personality types, you realize that there are some people who are like that. They don't care if anything will happen. And if you happen to have such a leader, I'm talking about personalities like we have the sanguine, melancholic, choleric, and so on and so forth. One of them, the group, those people, they are more like that. I don't care. Lakadesika, they don't care. If they don't take things they don't take things serious. If you have such a person as a leader, you are in trouble. Then the other one is the transactional leader, and yet they are always like they are the marketers. They not necessarily bringing transformation, but then they want to transact. You bring in. Okay, I use it, or you become my follower, and then when I get the position, I also help you. So for them, it's give and take. That transaction, everything is about business. So it's just like what we are doing in our country. Some of the political leaders, they have people, they have people who are sponsoring them. So one will say that, oh, the way people, you are sociable and you are this and you are that. If you stand for MP or if you stand for assemblyman, they will vote for you. And the person will say, oh, in fact, I don't have that kind of money to go into politics. It's very expensive. And someone will decide that, oh, I'll help you, I'll sponsor you. That's why sometimes you realize that someone is occupying the seat as the leader, but then he is being maneuvered. Someone is also sitting somewhere telling him do A, B, C, D because that person used his money. So it's kind of transaction. There's been some transaction going on. And that is another style of leadership where there's always kind of transaction people will use to, lead in order to get a position and then lead their people. Now, whether laissez-faire, transactional, or transformational leadership, like I have said earlier, we have traditional leadership. Let's categorize the two main types of leadership we have in Africa as well, the traditional leadership and modern leadership. So one can be a traditional leader, but can exhibit those styles, transformational and all. If you ask I think AI will add plenty. I chose only three. And then the modern leadership. So in this class, we are looking at the traditional leadership and then the modern leadership, where in the modern leadership, we can have the religious leaders, bureaucratic leaders, corporate leaders, political leaders, all the other institutions where we can find leaders. But the traditional leadership, that one is isolated. Because of the way we choose the leader and how they go about their saying, leading the people. So traditional leadership, according to Max Weber, rests on an established belief in the sanctity of immemorial traditions and the legitimacy of the status of those exercising authority under them. So this one is not like leaders are chosen. Yes, like we vote for such leaders. It is something that is there since time immemorial. We know that this family is a royal family, and because they are royal family, that is where the group, the community, or the people will choose their leaders from. What makes a family a royal one? For instance, in time past, people were just gatherers and hunters. They were not settled. You only move around. People were sleeping and they sleep under shelters, trees, giant. They come across a big tree or a giant tree, per their search for food, per their search for animal to kill and eat and water to drink. Then they will just settle anywhere. Once the person realized that this land is fertile, let me settle here. Then that place he started, if he went there alone or he probably with another person, he settles and other people who are also gathering, hunting will come across and realize that, oh, already someone is already here. Then let me join that person. And then they join that person and on. They form a village or a community. So the first settler will automatically becomes the leader of that group of people. And there are other instances too where others have already settled. And some people will have also settled, but then they will still want to move around, you know, looking for territories, land, fertile land to add to what they already have. Okay, so someone has already settled. Another person is moving around looking for a place to settle. And then he gets to that place where someone is already settled and then he tries to fight the person so that if he is able to conquer that person, then he takes whatever is on that land and he will become the leader. And so if they develop and then there is a society as they develop, then on record, it will still be that the first settler is the leader, or the one who came to fight and conquered that person is now the leader. Or someone settled, the person is a leader. Other Another person with a squad came fighting him. He didn't achieve his aim. He couldn't, conquer the people. But then the leader himself couldn't, fight the enemy. Okay. So if someone among that group probably someone who is very young is able to fight the enemy, then the people will hail as that young person or that person who stood to, fight the enemy. And so the one who is the original settler and is a leader, because if you're a leader, your role is to fight and protect your members. But if you're unable to do that, and someone among from your group is able to take the front line and then fight the enemy, then that position can go back to that person. It's like the Bible story where Saul couldn't fight Goliath, and then the young David came in fighting Goliath, and then David became king. So once a group is able to identify a family as a royal family based on what I've just explained, then it will still be there till thy kingdom come. Time immemorial, it will be there per tradition. That person will be their leader. And in our traditional setup, that is how we get our leaders. So once the person is a leader, then he will lead till he dies. And then we look at it from two other angles. Either it's a patrilineal society or matrilineal family. If it's a matrilineal family, then they have a way of selecting who the leader is or who becomes the leader. If it is a patrilineal line, they also have a way. It means it will come from the father line. If it is matrilineal, it comes from the mother line. That's where you have the nephew. If the uncle is the one leading and he dies, then they will look for the nephew from the mother line and not from the father line. But if it is a patrilineal one, then if that person dies, they look for someone from that patrilineal line to the father line to take the lead. And it would be there till, like I said. So it connotes authority, legitimacy based on history, which I'm explaining. History says that yes, they are the traditional royal family, and so that is the only family that we can choose our leaders from. And it is also based on what connotes, or it connotes their tradition and their customs, what their customs and their traditions say. Traditional leadership is closely related to hereditary systems of power and privilege. It is very close system because you don't say that, oh, the position is vacant, the chief is dead, or the king is no longer there. And so if whoever wants to vie for the position can apply. No, it is a closed system because it is from a particular family and a particular royal line, and that is the only way they look at it from. So hereditary, if he dies, before the person dies, they already know who will inherit, who is the next. But in our time, things are changing. People are even not from that royal family, but they are able to pave their way and buy, like the people who are paying to buy positions in the political angle. They also do it here in the traditional setup in our days, unlike in time past where they only look at the history, their custom, what the custom says, what the tradition says, and then their hereditary system, they will only look at it and then uh, select their leader. Things are changing. What is making it very difficult is the fact that the traditional leaders in time past would need some people to serve him or her. Okay, serve them. And so they go for someone who is not even from the family or not even from the town, just to be servants. And if because that person has been serving, they get to know the history of that family. You get it? So a time comes if they are not able to fulfill the continuity of the family, they don't bring forth children, they don't nurture and groom them. Gradually, the servant will use his own wisdom, grooming his or her own children. And as time goes on, if they are not able to keep their history, okay, then those group of people will also come up one day and say that, oh, we are from here. Yes, we are also one of the people. We can also lead. And that is creating a lot of, chaos in the traditional setup, because of these things. Sometimes to instead of the position to go to the right person. For instance, per their history, per their custom, and their hereditary system. If it is, they say that okay, it's a matrilineal system, so the uncle dies and the nephew, a sister, okay, a sister's son should be the one to inherit. Now, it doesn't end there. They look at the brevity, the personality, and a lot of things. If the person is, has disability, okay? If the person has a challenge, a disability challenge, or if the person becomes a drunkard, or if the person doesn't fit as in per their own requirement, then they can push it to the next person. So when they keep pushing it to the next person because of other requirements, then the one who was denied probably will die, but his children or great grandchildren will one day stand up and say that earlier it was for our great grandfather or our great grandmother, and it was taken from him. And that is when they have the history and they know the history and they have a witness. So then the whole thing becomes a mess. Now that group of people have been sidelined because the one who was legitimate at that time had some problems, challenges. Sometimes in some societies, they will even say that if you are a twin, you can't even lead. So those kind of things, traditional things can compromise the whole thing. If I want to speak to this one, you will not even finish. So let's move on. Then the traditional leadership is a global one and not only African phenomenon. Yes, as we know, you go to England and we have their queen and their kings. You go to South Africa, not even Africa, outside Africa, they also have there are some countries and some group of people have their traditional leaders. So it is not only in Africa that we have traditional leaders. What are their features and their roles? Traditional leadership occupied an important feature of political, economic, social, cultural, military, and judicial authority, which was perceived to be derived from customs, traditions, and practices of the people in countries like Ghana, etc. Yes, so they have their roles that they play, traditional leaders, before the colonial system came in, the colonial authorities, took over the roles that the traditional leaders were playing. Earlier, the traditional leaders were the sole leaders of the people, and they were playing their roles like the political roles, judicial rules, economic rules, cultural rules. And these roles were taken from them when the colonial system surfaced, and then they put up some institutions. So we now have the educational institution, economic institution, military, judicially, and so on and so forth. Other than that, they were playing their roles in that manner. And so here we say in the selection of traditional leaders, the qualities of charisma, personality, bravery, wisdom, and all those, values were accounted for. So they nurture in the traditional setup before they will choose, because these things are also important. They nurture the one who they know is legitimate to succeed the certain leader. If he is no longer there, then they automatically know that this is the next person. So they nurture such a person. Huh. They nurture you so that you become wise. You have wisdom and knowledge about the traditional and their tradition and their customs and so on and so forth. And here is the case, Africa. I know a family, a royal family, where they knew this person was to become the next chief, but because someone was also interested, they destroyed the person's life. The guy started doing drugs here and there, and per their own search and their own consultations here and there, it was realized that because someone was rather interested, because if that guy is not able to take the position, then it goes to the next fellow. And so a lot of things go into it. But then like I said, because during the pre-colonial period, the traditional leaders were performing their military, religious, judicial, administrative, legislative, economic, and cultural functions. How were they doing that? Like the president in the modern day politics, the chiefs or the traditional leaders in the traditional societies lead their people in war. Why were they going into war or trying to fight others? Just to create a kingdom. If you are able to, you don't sit idle. Uh-huh. You need to have your weapons, you need to have all the accoutrements. So that if in case someone tries to attack you, then you, as a leader, it is your duty to take the lead and fight the enemies. Aside that, you also try to also go and fight others. Why? When you do that, you are able to demarcate more land for yourself. And by doing that, you get more people, more followers. And then once you have the land, you know what is in the land, you gold and all the riches. So you become rich and you become a powerful leader. That's what Otunfo is a leader. The Ashanti Kingdom. You see, there are some lands in the Brong where those leaders still pay homage to the Ashanti king because he took captive of those areas. If through the fight or war, if they are able to conquer, and then those people, you become their subordinates and you pay homage to them. So whatever you have on your land, a hunter goes to for hunting, and if he gets a grass cutter, you take the tie, you look at the parts that are very, and then you go and give it to the traditional leader. I have seen it, I've witnessed some before because my father was a traditional leader. I realized people from the villages, they will be bringing market day, then they will be bringing their all sorts of things to the chief's palace. Traditional leadership they enjoyed those days, not in our days now. But I think in some remote areas they still do, where they pay much attention to their custom and their tradition, and they still respect their leaders. They do, they still do those things. Even now here, we have the leaders, the market women, they have the tomato queen, so and so queen, and at the end, they make sure they bring some of the goodies to the leaders of that land. So that's it happens. But then what I'm saying is that every traditional leader in time past, before the colonial systems surfaced, were leading their people in war. And their religious, how were they playing their religious function? The chiefs are considered as the embodiment of the beliefs, the people's hopes, their fears and aspirations, and so on. So, um, since the chief or the traditional leader occupies the ancestral stool, religiously, per their belief, he is the one to make sure that he solicits for the support from the gods through who? The traditional priest. So the chief, the traditional leader will ask the traditional priest to he will liaise with the traditional priest so that during festivals they will atone for the people's mistakes and so on and so forth, so that there would not be any calamity befalling on the people. So he embodies he's the embodiment of the people's beliefs, their hopes and their aspirations, since he sits on the traditional ancestral stool. Then the traditional judicial function, he seeks to bring reconciliation among his people. Yes, if there are some disputes among people, the traditional system, they have not only the leader, but he has other sub-leaders. Together they sit as a council and then they reconcile people who are in loggerheads with one others. Administrative function, the chief seeks and obtains counsel from his traditional council of elders. Someone said the traditional, they are autocratic. The one who is the leader doesn't take the decision alone. He has, like the parliamentarians, he has his council of elders that he takes decision with. Now, this administrative and judicial function that the traditional leaders were playing, you see now in our judicial system, they've introduced this traditional style. Those menial matters are not supposed to be taken to court. So when you take it to court, then they will, oh, I've forgotten there's a name there. Hey, who is working there? That they will settle it like we used to settle cases in the traditional courts. Because when everything is taken because these rules have been taken from the traditional leaders and everything, a little thing people are taking it to police station and it ends up in court. The cases have become so much that it creates what? That kind of bribery and corruption, because whose case should be looked at first? And that is why those who can pay will have to maneuver and pay, and then creating chaos in our society. So for every topic, in one way or the other, I keep saying that re-examination is not a taboo. There are some of the things that we ought to go back for them. If we can't do it like we do it in the traditional court, then we can bring it to like they have adopted it. The judiciary have adopted. Is it AD? Oh, there's this acronym. Who will help me?
It's ADR
ADR.
or
Good.
ADR,
Uh-huh.
Alternative
ADR.
Dispute Resolution.
Very good. ADR, alternative district. So that's it. Because when we do that, you reduce the, cases out there and people creating corruption and a lot of mess. And so, but come to think of it, but our traditional leaders are also still around. So why can't we, give them that opportunity to be leading? I know when you go to Manshia Otunfuo is doing it, other traditional, but like it used to be done in a time past. People don't even trust the traditional leaders again or what. So everything they think if they take it to court, then that is where the justice will be served. But you know that sometimes so if someone is that here, please. Sometimes, so some of the things we can have a look at it. But here again, uh I always want us to bring in ITO. Can't AI, because I know, okay, so people, you can still think about it. The ADR that is happening there, how do we bring in AI? How do we integrate technology to serve these purposes? Because we know they are part of us. We are humans. We keep fighting among ourselves, and by all means, we will end up in court and we will refer to that, department and so on. How do we bring in technology to ensure things are done fast? And, technology cannot be biased. If it can be biased, not 100, not 20% bias. Yes. Because
Judicial Service.
whatever you tell it. So let's think about it. Probably you can look at it as a project topic. Look at all these areas where you think technology can play a role there. How are they doing things? If you go to
Hello.
this spot, hello.
Yes. So I was saying that currently the judicial system is trying to
Oh, we've lost you.
like
Come again,
trying to
please.
digitalize
Uh-huh.
all the. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah, talk.
Yeah, Richard, we can hear you.
Celia, let's hear what you have to say. Celia, we've lost you again. Okay, so what I'm trying to say is
Hello.
let's look at judicial system, let's look at other security agencies, any other places where we think things are still being done manually. Okay, and then help us bring some systems that will address those challenges. Why are things being done in the manual way? Because the results will not be perfect. In order for us to address bribery and corruption, I think we need more of these systems to play a role. So please help us do that. Look at it if you haven't looked at it from there. Now we know supervising students, we've come across education system, hospital management system. Let's look at the other areas, judicial system and those areas where we can also bring in technology. We can integrate technology to address certain challenges they are facing. All right. How were they playing the economic rules? Now it baffles me when media people get the opportunity to visit some of these small towns or some of our villages, and then the traditional leaders will be calling and urging the government. It's a central government. Everyone wants to get their quota. But the traditional leaders, they used to play all these roles, giving development to their people. How were they doing it? Why? What can all they do now instead of calling government sometimes to come and give them a place of convenience? I buy name toilet in saying. I mean, Okay, so sometimes it's their road. Fine, the road is very bad, in bad shape. But then the traditional leader can still mobilize the members through communal labor, and then they can reshape it small till the government steps in. But you realize that they are sitting. Hey, let me be mindful, not saying they are sitting. Some of them are doing very well, but others too. I don't know if the camera is on them, and then government, we don't have KVIP. Is the government never more KVIP? Just a place of convenience. But how were they doing it? The traditional leaders constitute the economic development of their people, okay, their state. And what they were doing was just to mobilize them for communal labor. And some of them are already skillful, okay? So when you mobilize them, you have carpenters, you have all those skilled men, and they will bring in their ideas and their skills to help. So during festivals, they will only have to announce to the public, to the people that, okay, for this festival, our focus is to, you know, give the community or develop a health center for our people. At point, if you are able to do it at a point, you are able to put down the structure, then you can go in asking government to come and help. If you cannot make it complete, you can't complete it. Let me put it. Probably you need beds and you need all the equipment. But then some of the things traditional leaders should be able to do as they used to do in time past. During festivals, they ask people to come home. Okay, and then every household, they asked members to pay a levy. They were calling it a levy. So if for instance, men are asked to pay 1 cedi, women are asked to pay 50 pesos, something small, but then they were falling on their uh, family heads. So every family head, you make sure you count the members in your family, or the men, the women, if they are even outside, you contact them. And some of them will be willing to give even more. So after getting the levies, it doesn't end there. During the festival celebration, especially the day that they sit at the deck where they sit, and then they have the proper celebration. They ask people to also bring their farm produce, those who are into weave, artistic designs, and all those kind of artistic works. They bring all those things and then they sell it. So you realize at that point in time, if a bunch of plantain goes for just 1 cedi, because of the idea that we want to generate fund to put up a health center, right? They will sell it 5 cedis. And then they will say, oh, any challenger, people will also want to challenge. Oh, I'll give 50 cedis. Any challenger, someone will say, oh, I'll donate 500 cedis. Someone says, oh, I'll give 50,000. And then they use such monies to buy the things that they will need. And then they set days where they call all the members to go a communal labor, and then through that they are able to get those projects done. They were giving their people the economic developmental, needs, especially social amenities. And so I think the traditional leaders in our time should be proactive and be able to help us. Others are doing it. Others have instituted educational funds to help the needy, scholarships and the rest. But the social amenities, those small, small things, sometimes it can only be tricycle that the community members need because they have to trek from one place to another community to get their, uh, you know, uh, to solve their health challenges. And some women, when they are to bring forth children, they die on the road. A lot of so these things, I think the traditional leaders, if you are from a royal family and you become a traditional leader, help us in that aspect. Or if you already occupy the position, let's be proactive. And then let's use our festivals to help us get these needs because it is during festivals that we'll be able to throw invitations to a lot of people to come home. And then they should always be an idea focus that this festival, we are celebrating it because we want to solicit for funds to develop this or to get this project done. Then there are legislative role. They perform both administrative and legislative duties through the traditional council. Like I said, they have the finance minister, the sanahine, the whatever chiefs. So when they sit, those sub-chiefs also play their roles, and together they are able to legislate and then solve their administrative challenges. Cultural roles, the chiefs are considered as embodying the cultural heritage of their people. And so their cult means through it is their and their cult is a means through which this heritage is transmitted. So cultural rules, they have a lot of ways or means that they do that. It can even be the time where they celebrate their festivals, where they exhibit their cultural, duties, their cultural regalia, the chiefs, how powerful they are. They have the sub-chiefs. If this is the main chief or the Ogbolo, then they have the other sub-chiefs, for instance, and then that is where they traditionally exhibit their authority. Okay, for Ashanti Kingdom, do you know that if Otumfuo will have to, there's a Deba Otumfuo has to come and sit down. There's someone who will go around making sure that all the other sub-chiefs are not wearing the cloth that Otumfuo is bringing to that event. So it tells you the hierarchy of powers that they have, and these are showing their cultural, the beauty of their culture, the way they dress, how they will go about things. The chief is the one who leads the people, do ABCD. So if there is a funeral, we want you to do it this way, we want you to do it that way. If there's a festival, if there is any traditional performance, it's the chief who takes the lead. So by being considered as the embodiment of their cultural heritage, he plays such roles. But all these roles, okay, let's talk about the challenges first. Challenges facing traditional leadership. Some significant challenges have affected the traditional functions of the leader or the chief. This is because most of the said functions have been taken over largely by the modernized institutions established by colonialism and then the political independence of most African countries. So, like I said, the only traditional roles effectively retained by the chiefs or the traditional leaders are the religious and the cultural rules. The colonial system introduced these kind of institutions, but they didn't even take it easy, right? When they wanted to even lead the people, they had to do that through their traditional leaders. The British colonizers used the indirect rule system, and so they will just use their traditional leaders to in order to get to the people. That's why recently, when our president made the public statement during the UN Deba, someone was making analysis and said that if we are asking them to bring our things and we want to say that they did bad, yes, but they did it through our own traditional leaders because they were using our leaders to sign sometimes some agreements, some treaties. And if once the chief agrees, then it covers the members because he's the one who is leading the people. But like I said, gradually when they were able to take away these rules and the responsibilities from the chiefs, they were left with only playing which rules, religious and cultural rules. But if now things are changing, like I said, some traditional leaders are still playing educational roles where they have instituted educational schemes, scholarship schemes, and so on and so forth. But you see, largely the educational institution or educational system, we have an institution that is taking care of our educational system. So the chiefs or the traditional leaders can only do just a bit of what is there happening, and they can only take a bit and then do it. But yes, let them do it. For every constituency or town, we have traditional leaders. So if they are also doing it small, though we have educational service, a whole educational ministry taking care of the educational needs of the populace, and the chiefs in their own catchment areas are also helping in their own way. I think it will be of more, uh, benefit to the people. But what time do they get, what chance do they even get to play these religious and cultural roles during events like holiday or when we are having cease march or set some events, and then we fall on the traditional leaders to come and pray for us, and sometimes they also come with their traditional praise to come and exhibit or do their own thing. So the only roles that are left that they play are the religious and the cultural roles. However, now, because we have the chieftaincy institution, they have major rules that I think at the background, we don't see it like they are doing it, but they are also doing it. The chiefs in the contemporary African societies act as interpreters of government policies to the people. So if the government it wants to even uh do something in a town. If it's a project, by all means, you have to go through the chiefs. And so in their own way, they are also helping the government. Others also find a way to get to the government so that their developmental needs are met. But in this modern age, we can't say that the chiefs are there idle because we have the chieftaincy institutions and they are also helping or they are helping governments to interpret their policies and to achieve their goals. But other important challenges facing them are the succession disputes, which I explained earlier. That their succession because they based on traditions and history and their customs. Okay, now it happens that people I don't know everything now. The person knows very well that this is the right person to inherit. Okay, this too, but someone somewhere will want to buy it. So the succession dispute is becoming a challenge, serious challenge for that institution, the chieftaincy system. And then another challenge is reaching accommodations with the central government on their rules in the modern system. But I think I heard the local government minister saying that now they are putting structures down where chiefs will know when it is there on paper, but in practicality, are they doing it? So it is on records that they are facing challenges reaching accommodations with the central government on their rules in the modern state. For instance, if we have a judiciary, we have the security systems and all those, and you say you were a chief, no one is above the law. They will arrest you. But I know you can't arrest them per certain things. It depends on the offense. These are the challenges facing the traditional leaders. Let me pause here and then take some questions or contributions before I move on to the modern leadership. So the floor is open. Any question, any contribution? Richard wanted to speak earlier and we lost him. Richard, are you back?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, so let's hear you all. You've forgotten about it.
No, I haven't forgotten. Yes, so what I was trying to present earlier was that the current judicial service is trying to digitalize their records. So you
Okay.
see, most of the supposed civil cases which are supposed to be tried in the palaces are brought to court, and then they are not able to be traced because there are no records, or the records are voluminous because they are on paper. Any little temper, it makes it difficult to be traced. So now they are trying to make all these records electronic, like put all of them on a single platform, so that anytime there is just a click, you can just open and get access to the particular case or record of that case. For instance, the chieftaincy issues that you're having, there are some of them that have been sent to court in like 50 years ago, which judgments have been given. But because there were no proper records to
Mhm.
trace, people have turned around to do their own things. So now the
Okay.
judicial service is trying to put everything on record, like they are trying to
Okay.
make the system
Okay.
paperless.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
So
So that's what I was saying. We've supervised students projects on school record system, hospital record system. So we want you to delve into all these areas and then look at the loopholes where you think by bringing in automating it, bringing in the technology will solve the problem or help ease the challenges they are facing. Thank you very much. Now let's look at the modern leadership. Modern leadership connotes a set of impersonal rules associated with it, with an office rather than the office holder, which makes it far less likely to be abused or to give rise to injustice. So for this one, the policies, the rules have been outlined. And then, so once you occupy that position, you are guided by the law. So if it is a government, then we have our constitution. If it is a corporate environment, they have their policies. They have the rules are there. So you are guided by those kind of rules to lead your people or to, yes, to direct the affairs of that office. And so people think it is likely on records. We are saying it is far likely to be abused or to give rise to injustice. But practicality, we see we see the otherwise. But what makes their work different from the traditional one is where for them they only depend on the oral history. There are no written records. So if they want to rule, they only rule per their customs, what the customs say, what the traditions are saying. Okay. But here, once it is an impersonal thing, you can't say that, oh, my great grandfather owned the land, and so we are the royal family. We are the land is for us, and so if someone does this, we will do this and we will do that. This one is an impersonal, which is associated with that office. So if you hold that office, then you are being guided to go about your duties per those written documents or records. The authority and legitimacy are conferred by rules and regulations. It's not like inheritance, hereditary system, traditional system. So if this one dies, then per custom, the nephew has to, inherit him or her. No, this one, it is based on what? The authority and legitimacy, rules and regulations. So your authority is based on the rules and regulations that have been set or that has been drawn up in a rational framework. Leaders are subject to the laws. So if they also go against the law, then they are subject to punishment. Some example of modern leadership include that we have the political leader. Of course, whenever we are talking about leadership, then the attention is much focused on the political leaders. We have the bureaucratic leaders, the religious, military, corporate, judicial leaders, etc. All those offices are associated with rules and regulations, and it is an open system. It is not a closed system. That's why people will tell others when they are trying to be arrogant and say that you 4 years will come soon. Others will say your tenure will soon, end, and you will see because that one is an open system. Once it's a tenure, once your term ends, it ends there per the rules and regulations. Okay. And it's open system because each and everyone can vie for it once the person meets the qualification for that position. Unlike the other traditional leadership where even if the traditional leader is messing up, they can't do anything except that if they have a higher hierarchy. Okay, if that chief who is messing up is a sub chief and he has other authority, then the people can, or the people will only have to demonstrate, create chaos in order to distill the person. But this one, yes, people can demonstrate against the person, but people will only also want to wait till the temper, the rules and the regulations that guide that position ends expires, and then they will vote you out or they will move you out from that office. That's why we need to be very careful. In religious setup, well, sometimes if it is a one-man show, some religious groups, it is I built the church. I am sorry. So that one, I choose to do what I want. Even that one they are sometimes opposed by their other sub leaders. Okay, they call them Asofo Nketewa. If Osofo that Osofo doesn't like what the head bishop is doing, then they also want to create chaos. But where it is regularized, like some of the churches, religious groups, that one too, they can ask you to leave that office because they have their own rules and regulations. We are more familiar about these modern leadership. That's why I'm not speaking much into it. Modern leadership is characterized by openness. I've said it is open for people to apply for once they meet the requirement. It is based on legal rationality. So that one, enye yedi fie asɛm per custom. So if something doesn't go well, you just find your way out and you are okay. No, it's guided by legal, framework. So if you mess up, we will ask you to come and account to the people. It is universalism, equality, and it is also deemed for change. Modern leadership links authority to a clearly and legally defined set of rules. The power of the leader is determined in the final analysis by either formal or constitutional rules, which limit what an office holder is able to do. So you can't say that the constitution or the legal framework, whatever they say, they specify that you have to go through these steps A, B, C, D, but you decide that no, I will not go through step A, B, C, D to do whatever I want to do. People will not take it easy. They will not allow you to. They will raise the red flag. That is not what the Constitution is saying. That is not what is in the legal framework. So it is defined. Whatever you are doing, we analyze it per the Constitution or whatever we have to hold you accountable as a leader. They perform numerous functions such as military, judicial, administrative, legislative, economic, among others. If it is a corporate leader, then I don't think they perform military functions. So it depends where the person sits. But here we are generalizing and meaning the higher body because when you talk about leadership, the political leaders are the Obolo. So we are referring to those group of people. They are guided or they play all these roles, and these roles are played by various institutions. Those institutions have been set up and they also have their leaders. So the hierarchy is from the government through that institution, who is the CEO, the director, who is the manager, who is the departmental head. So it runs through bureaucratically like that. And whatever they are doing, we are saying that you only determine their final analysis by the framework or the blueprint that has been put down for them to guide what they do. Challenges facing modern leadership. The major challenges include meeting the expectations with insufficient resources. Since we said leadership in Africa has never been enviable and we are underdeveloped or we are still struggling with development because of poor leadership, then the attention is drawn at where the political leaders. So we look at it from that angle. They are saying there's the challenge facing them is the expectation to meet the expectation. What are the expectations of the people? A lot. Do we have the resources? This is we can debate about this, but time will not permit us. Some are saying we are saying insufficient resources. Another person will oppose to this by saying we have the resources. The only thing is that we don't know how to manage those resources to meet the expectations of the people. Okay, so it's like a coin. On the other side, meeting the expectations of the people with the insufficient resources. Practically, the insufficient resources to meet the expectations are there. But on the other side too, the resources are hidden somewhere. Like the gold we have, like the cocoa, the bauxite, and all these resources, the we don't have the money, we don't have the funds to meet the needs of the people, address their challenges, but we have the raw ones which we don't know how to manage it such that we be able to meet the expectation of the people. But let's say we are saying that all challenge be challenge. Another challenge is the need to struggle with continued trust on an unfavorable international economic order. That one we have already sold ourselves to, or we have put ourselves into it. So if we are struggling to continue with that trust, then it dawns on us, where we have to rely heavily on the uh, international and other unfavorable economic international orders. You go for IMF loan, it comes with conditionality, and all those are struggle because at the end of the day, you've went for the loan, IMF, they've given you a conditionality that for a number of years, 1 or 2 years, don't employ people. And you keep educating your people, they are graduating, huge number of people are coming out, but no jobs to, you know, they can't secure any job. So it becomes a problem. It becomes a serious challenge if you are a leader and other things, and they are giving you unfavorable conditions. For instance, the LGBTQ, whatever. Some will say that if you accept it, then we will give you aid. And per your values, your people say we don't need it. And the same people to you need to meet their expectation, and you don't have what it takes to meet the expectation, but they so it's a struggle. It's a struggle for them. They need to incorporate a diverse population into a workable whole. Here is the case we have different groupings, and then one of the leader has been chosen from one of the groups. How does he bring on board all the other members? I keep saying that the one who is leading, for instance, the government, those are the key areas. They are struggling, and at the end of the day, they are the ones that we, we you know, let me choose the word carefully. Okay, so we've chosen a leader, for instance, a leader from a particular party. But then you go to all these institutions working together for us to see or meet them, or for government to meet the expectation. And it's not only those people from his party. So the leader will come, the leader will go. The people are different, diverse population. How do you gain their trust? How do they sabotage you? It is a difficult thing to do. Even those from your own, uh, you know, your group, we call it party. Some of them, one needed this position, you didn't give it to him, you gave it to another person. He's not sabotaging you, government sitting up there, but the one who has gotten the position that he was fighting for and he couldn't get. So we are pulling each other's. So for the government, they need to incorporate a diverse population. These people, different people from different groupings and with different ideas, and how to bring them together into a workable whole to achieve our goal becomes a serious challenge for the leader if you are unable to do that. And then to establish the guidelines for a distinctive African path of not only constructive change but socio-economic development. As for that one, I think if you are looking at it on a broader page like Africa, then it will become difficult. That's why we have it in a bit bit. So Ghana, we have our own rules and our own. Look at that path and then see how you can. But because we are talking about leadership in Africa and we are saying challenges facing them, then we say that the guideline for Africa, the path for us to follow, though the AU and the other bodies, African bodies, are trying to help, it is not easy to get things done. So they also have their own challenges. What are the factors contributing to poor leadership in Africa? AI will give you more and more and more and more. Let's look at partisanship. That one is killing us. Contributing to poor leadership in Ghana. This one, I won't say Africa. Let me come home. Partisanship. Lack of mentoring of leaders. Partisanship in what case? What's that policy that government wants to bring on board, wants to initiate? Is good. But because the people, not all the people are for him, others belong to another group. They also want to take the position. So pulling him down. I always say that when some the parties they are not in power, then their eyes are clearly open. They see things clearly. They are able to analyze things. That's how. But when they are in power, I don't know if they, because this person comes to power and he's messing up. Another person sits there and he sees clearly and he is hammering on what the other person is not doing. Then you move the person out. The one who was saying you should have done it A, B, C, D also, comes on board. And hey, partisanship. And then in a case where you have to, like I said, the policy is good, but another group doesn't want that to be achieved. Cry, because if you are successful, we will not be able to win the people and also come to power. But what are you fighting for that position? You come in to do what? To help the people. So if you are fighting to come on board so that you help the people and someone is already there, and if they genuinely you want to help the people and someone is there and the person wants to also help the people, why don't you give the person the support to help the people? But rather PAD, pull him down, game. That's what we play, partisan politics. What will help all of us because of partisanship? We don't want it because the other person is not for the government. That same person moves out, another one comes, and the same game is killing us. It's killing us. Okay. And then lack of mentoring of leaders. Yes, so if leaders are not nurtured, because the person has the money, or because the person is able to talk, not just mere talks, propaganda, do proper one. Because if you are the one whose voice can be heard, not that what the person is saying is the truth, but because the person can make noise, do propaganda. Oh, the followers, all the other members clapping for that person. And so some of them don't know, we don't nurture them, they don't know their left from their right, they only come on board because one said that, oh, you, the way you know how to talk, you can do propaganda. If you vie for this position, the people will vote for you. Oh, I don't have funds. Oh, I will support you with funds to buy the votes. And so coming on board and messing up. Corruption. Hmm. Will. Corruption is corruption. Corruption is corruption. So because the person has gone for loan or support from somewhere, he has to pay. And so he comes, instead of coming in to help, he's coming in to make money, to acquire wealth. And so is there new patrimonialism comes on board and then playing family, friends and family affairs. Favoritism. This person we are giving that position is not competent. He has no idea. He has no clue whatsoever of leading the people if you put him there. But favoritism, let's put him there because of some kind of affiliation. A friend, if he's a friend to a wife, sister to so and so, that kind of favoritism. So using public resources to acquire, make wealth for ourselves, favoring people who are not supposed to occupy certain positions and they end up messing up. Promotion of self-interest rather than public interest, honorable, yeah, waba, those kind of things. And so, as for this one, the reality on the ground. What is here? What is hidden? Let me look at the other one. Poor enforcement of codes of conduct. If you enforce it, especially if it applies to someone who is affiliated to you and you want to enforce that law, uh, the party members will be against you. So you don't enforce it. Or in a case where you enforce it and it will help the populace, and then they will say that, we were on the street selling and we were getting money, we are able to pay our fees, and now you are here, you want to throw us out, we will vote against you. Everything partisanship. They use politics to, so instead of the leaders to use that stringent means to, rule, their hands are sometimes tied. They can't. And so they cannot enforce the code of law, the codes of the conduct. In the case where someone has messed up and the person has to be thrown into jail, oh, that person is a friend to so and so president's sister, he's an in-law, they go and call this person, go at the end of the day, nothing happens. Because it didn't happen to this person, it doesn't serve as a deterrent to others. So, same game, we play it and we play it and we play it. All these and many more are contributing to poor leadership in Africa, as AI is giving you already, AI is giving you plenty. Only then the demand is or fishy for those information. So you fish every information related to it and give it to you. But if it's an assignment, I keep telling students, I am in for IT change, AI, whatever. That's the new trend. Let's use it, but we ought to use it wisely. So you ask students to sometimes, not in this class, so please, to give them assignment, to do a presentation, and then AI gives them the answer. And they are coming to do presentation, 10 minutes presentation, and they have about 45 slides. Everything AI is given to them is very important. Why don't you take time and then do your analysis and then, summarize it? Ask AI to summarize it for you. Bring out only the key words that have, uh, related to the topic. That's what I would say. So whenever we are using it, or you are supervising students, project work, they go and find AI gives all the points and they are giving you points. Meanwhile, it's academic writing. So you need to have an idea about how to put those points into writing, adding, raising arguments and then making a stand and supporting it with examples and so on and so forth. So it's making the work very difficult for us. What are the factors contributing to good leadership? To foster good leadership in Africa, the following measures are very crucial. There should be recognition and appreciation by leaders that widespread participation is compatible with political legitimacy. And then the competent and respected local leaders must be offered significant financial and administrative support for various development projects. National Program on Leadership, where you mentor them. Nurturing in Africa must be coordinated and strengthened with capacity building as the core focus. The methods of selection and recruitment of political leadership at the national and local level should be reassessed. I don't know if that can be possible because once we belong to a particular party and we want that member to be a leader, we don't assess it. We don't care whether the person is an ethical leader, he has the values, he has the qualities, he's competent. No. Once that person is standing in for a particular party and we are noted to be for that party, we will not assess anything. Leadership at all levels must be sensitized on important challenges. They are aware of the challenges. Of course, when they come during campaign, they will tell you this, they will even identify the challenges, proposing or, telling the people when they come, they will look at it for them. So let's look at it. How do we achieve this? We have just mentioned them. There should be recognition and appreciation by leaders that widespread participation is compatible with political legitimacy. Competent and respected local leaders must be offered significant financial and administrative support for various developmental projects, national. How do we achieve this? Because if these factors are put in place, then we can, have good leaders. But the question is, how do we do these things? You can take in one of them. This my last slide. Are we together? Contribution, questions. Oh, I hope you can all hear me. Hello.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, mommy, we can hear you.
So how do we, what measures, these are, okay, I've mentioned just a few. You can also ask AI and then contribute. What can we do to address this poor leadership that has been or is being recorded that is, resulting in the underdevelopment in Africa? What can we do? What can be done? Challenges facing leaders. What can be done to address those challenges? In fact, practically, what can we do because if we give room for people to talk about our leaders, the way they will insult them. So what can be done to address those kind of things? For instance, when we want to select our leaders, we do that based on their affiliation, right? Either the person is affiliated to us religiously on a religious background. Oh, the person is Christian, I'm a Christian, so I'll vote for him. The person is a Muslim, I'm a Muslim, I'll vote for him. The person is from my town or he speaks my language, those kind of affiliations and those kind of things. We place much emphasis on those affiliations when we want to select our leaders. And so even if the person is not an ethical leader, the person cannot lead the people, we still want to bring those people on board. A case where we don't nurture people to be leaders and so on and so forth. What can be done to have good leaders? Or we should fast and pray to God to give us good leaders. Or when we have the opportunity to choose our leaders, we should go into fasting and prayers for God to show them to us in a vision, so that when you are going to choose that leader, you know that God says, go and choose this person. Because we have done what we ought to do. What else can we do to get good leaders in Africa? Well, I will want to look at it from a different point of view. I will look at it. If we want to see a new face altogether, I will take it from the family angle. I said leadership in the traditional setup. We look at it from the basis, from the family line. Okay, so if the person occupies that office in that corporate environment, the person is coming from a particular background. If that person becomes a religious leader, he's coming from a particular family background. If that person becomes a political leader, whatever style or shape or type or whatever leadership role the person gets the opportunity to play, who is that person? What makes that person act the way he acts? If the families are doing their part, the person comes out, he has the values, okay? the moral values that we talk about in our second lesson, it will play a good role. Probably the system, because we have some but all those people, let's look at it that way, that whoever, all those, either we are voters, we are the ones choosing the leaders or the leaders themselves. If the proper work, diligent work is being done at the family level and we all move out, either we are being chosen or we are choosing others, we should get good leaders. That's what I would say. I don't know what you want to add to it. So let's train people to be responsible. Let's train people to have all the values that to respect, to honor, to work hard, to be truthful, to not to be greedy, not to tell lies, not to be corrupt. When we have nurtured them well, we have trained them well at home, and they move out to any other institution and they get the opportunity to lead, then what the values that we have imbibed in them will, by all means, show. It will come out in how and the way they lead. So yes, probably I say the harm has already been done. That those of us coming, parents, let's help train people to be responsible. Let's help train people to be diligent. Let's help train people to be respectful. Let's help train people not to be greedy, and so on and so forth. And then we will have those people occupying positions and other key, positions, and they will play their roles very well. Not only those who will be occupying, but once we have done the work and we are all moving out, the one who is leading, sometimes you see the one who is the key leader has a good vision. He's trying all that he can, but then he's not the only person working. He delegates. And the one who he has delegated is also delegating. The members on the floor, let me use the word floor members. The corruption. The floor members, they are the ones, the people that they are leading, let me put it that way. The people that they are leading, they are the same people who are working for you. And if the people are not buying into that ideology, that policy, they don't want it. You say, Nkukon Kitinkiti, right? Come for Nkukon Kitinkiti. Then go in, we give you the necessary resources. Come and render accounts. The person takes them, Nkukon Kitinkiti, goes, and the next moment, yes, eating all the Nkukon. Do you think you'll be able to achieve, like you give 50 and then you want the person to come next time and then be accountable that, oh, I've been able to raise 150 or 200, but that 50, the person goes and fast ready, or he has sold and squander the money. If you have 10 people and 7 of them are not doing what is right per the policy, per what you have outlined, do you think that policy will be able to achieve it? You will not be able to achieve the goal, right? So it is the people you are leading. And that is why I'm saying that if those people, which I'm one of them, all of us, if we don't change our attitude, and we want to do things anyhow, we want, things like it's a government work, so I don't care, I don't mind. Ebegu emu. If it collapses, let it collapse. It be my father's business. It be those kind of things. So it makes leadership very bad. But because at the end of the day, the one who is occupying the key position will be what? His name will be mentioned. Then we say, oh, that leader is bad. But who contributed to that? The people's bad attitude. And to address people's attitude, we ought to train people, and then we ought to, like we mentioned, that we should see those kind of things as our responsibility. Okay. Societal goal, and then our responsibility, where people are not acting the way they ought to act, and we know that at the end of the day it will affect all of us. Let's not keep quiet. See something, say something, kind of thing. And when we do that, then at the end of the day, the one who is occupying the key position will be able to achieve his or her goals. Oh, so since you are not talking, then I'm done. Oh, I thought I'm wait about how many are here.
No, but you have the floor, so we can't be interjecting unless you give us the floor.
Oh, but I just opened the floor for discussion. I said any contribution, any questions.
Oh,
Now,
okay.
so let's hear
Come
you
again.
if you have any contribution. What can be done to address this menace that leadership in Africa is very poor and not enviable, and it is contributing to the underdevelopment in our continent, though we
Okay,
have the
madam. So,
resources.
madam, can you say uh, institutional independence must be encouraged?
Can you explain it all can you give us a
Okay, so what I mean by institutional independence must be encouraged is that all this that you are saying boils down to uh, menace in the society or in the workplaces. And we all there to enforce. You and I will bear witness to it that in this country, when somebody is being caught up by law, we are the same people sharing with the investigative bodies to have pardon or to have mercy with the people we all condemn have committed to have committed a crime. So my point is that if we allow the institutions that have been mandated by law to do their work, the enforcement agencies will be allowed to go through the process, and it will serve as a deterrent, and some of these things will be either eradicated or reduced.
All right. Thank you very much. I agree with you, but even in a case where some institutions are doing their independent work, like you said, at the end result, at the end of the day, the person has committed, the person ought to be punished. But because of some affiliations here and there, okay, then this person, there's a commander is on the line. Uh-huh. Yes, this is commander. Leave that gentleman. This is a different case.
Yeah, so that is what I mean by independence. When we are
Uh-huh.
the bodies are allowed to do their mandated duties.
So, yes, so in this scenario, it takes someone who has been trained to be confident to say yes when it's yes and to say no when it's no without fear or favor. But you see, the person will say that my job is on the line. I don't want to lose my job. That one is so the attitude of the people, okay? You know that this is the right thing to do, but someone is interfering because the person has the higher authority, and and then you also give up. Then we will be like merry-go-round, run, and run and run, and we will not be able to address that issue. And so we will always go kill, change leaders, bring in new person, do whatever. It won't solve the problem unless the people themselves, change their attitude by taking a stand. Huh, by taking a stand. But taking a stand comes with, you know, those challenges too. Either your job is on the line or your life is on the line. And at the end of the day, we are all selfish. Nti ebi wɔ obiara mu. So for me, when people say that, oh, the leaders are greedy and so on and so forth, all of us are involved because the one who is even choosing that greedy leader Why is he choosing that greedy leader? Because of some of the benefits that he also what enjoy. I'm choosing this leader because of some. So in the first place, I'm greedy and I'm choosing a greedy leader. And I'll say that unless we have a change of mindset and a change of attitude, we will be greedy, choosing greedy leaders and so on. And not everyone will choose because of the benefits. That one. But 1 out of 10, or probably 2 out of 10. The rest, why do we use affiliations? If my party is, in power, then I can secure job, contracts. So the mindset, even our own mindset and our own attitude towards whatever is happening, is also contributing to it. So if we are looking at it, instead of pointing one finger at someone, the rest of the fingers pointing back at us should, draw our attention to also reflect on what we are doing. And then not only choosing the leader per se, but then the leader is there. Let's look at the leader is also there, but the one who is also being led, the one who is being led, what is he also contributing such that that leader is either performing or not performing? Let's take another one from Sechuafia. Yes,
Thank you,
senior.
madam. Thank you for the opportunity. I I hope you can hear me, please.
Yes, please.
I would like to. It's just something that has been bothering me about Africa as a continent and as like Ghana as well. For example, let's say we want to develop as a continent and we don't have a developmental project. Every leader comes with their own ideas. This one comes for 4 years, then whatever he's doing stops on the way. Another one comes for 4 years. Whatever he's doing, we will come and start a new thing, leaving the old projects. And that will also contribute to the continent as a whole not to be able to develop when it comes to infrastructure and all that. So I feel
So
like
as
so I feel like Africa, we should, or Africa as a continent, or Ghana, we should have, for example, 10 years developmental project. So any leader comes in, continues that developmental project until everything in that project is done. So that this leader comes for 4 years, uh, whatever he decide to do, if he's not done with it, another one comes start with his own project because they want to create personal legacy that they want to say that, "Oh, I was the one who did this. I was the but Ghana or Africa is not a private or company. This this is a country where everybody must enjoy. So when it is
okay.
being, I feel like it is being treated like a personal property.
Mm. But you see,
Yeah,
because they
it's
also
a
get
kind of
support,
propaganda.
I'm coming, because they also get support. Okay, so why do we play politics around such things? If it is not the right thing, then all of us, whether that person is your like you belong to that party and so it is your party that is ruling or you are, all of us should speak against it and maybe at some point in time it will change, but in a case where they get support from their members saying that oh and always referring oh and so did it and so why are you bothered if we are also doing it. If we keep on playing such games, then yeah, it will always be recorded that we are not developing, and one of the factors is the poor leadership. Thank you very much for your contribution,
I
Richard.
have a question for Setofia.
Okay.
Okay, so the question is, based on his submission, okay, does it mean that all African political parties should have the same ideology in terms of developmental projects?
No, I don't think that's what he meant. He was saying that since it is not like a traditional system where you are the leader and you say that, oh, we own the land, and so whatever we want to do is what we will do. This one, it is based on what? The framework, the constitution. So it's not one man's business. So if that person leaves the office, the other person who takes over should ensure that that uncompleted project is completed, period.
Okay.
Any other? Okay. All right. So our time is up. Thank you very much. We group 4, group 5, group 6 will be doing their presentation next 2 weeks. I think we have only one teaching week left, which is next week. And topics, we are left with 2 topics which are very short. So I can finish those 2 topics, hopefully, or God willing, next week. And then the following week, we will have group 4, 5, and 6 do their presentation face to face, which I will try by all means to be there. I want to see you. I want to see you, except those who said they will not be able to come for the face to face, and so they opted for the online presentation. But let's come, there's a package for you. Let's try and make it. I wish you all the best. Enjoy the rest of the evening. And thank you for coming. Have a good night. Bye.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.
Akpa bikwa.